Understanding leadership in a digital-first economy. As the digital marketplace has grown and the number of players in the space has increased, there has been an evolution in what is considered to be an effective leader for an online business. Now, not only is a company's founder evaluated based on the early success of their business and the speed with which they can grow their business, additional emphasis has been put on how a leader builds a business that is sustainable and will survive over time, supports the people within their company, and leads the business through times of uncertainty. Felix Roemer provides a real-life example of how a strategic leader has transformed his approach to meet the growing challenges that online businesses experience. Rather than centering authority on visibility or personality, modern leadership emphasizes structure, clarity, and execution. Online businesses move quickly, but speed without discipline often leads to instability. Leaders who succeed over time understand when to step back, when to intervene, and how to align short-term decisions with long-range goals. This approach has become essential as digital ventures move from experimentation into sustained operation. Early foundations that shaped a strategic mindset before starting formal business. Felix Roemer had the desire to know how to act in a marketplace through digital economies. He learned how to trade items in video games and understood the relationship between pricing, supply, and demand, which gave him valuable insight into how a market works. Using these types of environments taught him the importance of being patient, analytical, and having great timing rather than acting on impulse. He incorporated this knowledge into his leadership style by applying a data-driven approach coupled with self-control and patience. This background also encouraged independence. Instead of relying on predefined paths, he learned to build tools, test assumptions, and refine processes based on results. Those habits later translated into professional settings where leaders must often make decisions without complete information. The ability to remain composed while adjusting strategy is a defining trait in high-growth environments. From individual operator to organizational leader, a lot of internet founders start out as their own individual contributors to their businesses. Their initial successes are reliant on a very hands-on approach across all functional areas. As their businesses continue to increase in size and complexity, that type of management becomes impossible to maintain over time. Learning how and when to delegate occurs during a very significant change in leadership for most internet founders, as does the ability to have trust in another individual's responsibility. Felix Roemer has spoken about the importance of delegation not as a loss of control but as a requirement for scale. By assigning ownership and setting clear expectations, leaders create space to focus on strategic priorities. This transition marks the difference between a founder-driven business and a scalable organization. For founder Felix Roemer, delegation is closely tied to accountability. Tasks are not simply handed off. They are supported with systems, metrics, and feedback loops. This ensures that growth does not come at the expense of consistency or quality. In online businesses where teams are often distributed, this clarity becomes even more critical. Adaptability as a leadership requirement. Rapidly changing environments are common for high-growth, internet-based companies. This means that platforms evolve, users change their behavior, and regulatory issues can be changed with little or no warning. Being a leader in this environment requires you to be able to adapt, but not to keep reinventing yourself or your company. Felix Roemer approaches adaptability through simplification. Rather than adding layers of complexity, he focuses on identifying core drivers of value. When products or operations become too complicated, decision-making slows and teams lose direction. By stripping initiatives back to essentials, leaders preserve momentum and reduce risk. This mindset reflects a broader trend in modern leadership. Adaptability is no longer about reacting to every change. It is about maintaining a stable foundation while adjusting tactics as needed. Leaders who master this balance can guide organizations through uncertainty without exhausting their teams. Long-term vision in short-cycle markets. The online business model presents a unique difficulty in allowing for short cycles of success, which is well indicated by one's ability to leverage real-time metrics as they relate to stakeholders who are used to seeing quick results on their investment. However, good strategic leaders will remain disciplined in their thought, remaining focused on achieving long-term return on investment through sustainable business practices. Felix Roemer defines long-term vision through incremental progress. Large goals are broken into achievable steps, allowing teams to measure progress without losing sight of the broader objective. This approach reduces burnout and encourages consistency. For founder Felix Roemer, long-term thinking also extends to financial stewardship. Growth is evaluated not only by revenue but by stability and resilience. This perspective recognizes that maintaining success often requires more discipline than achieving initial traction. Responsible growth and ethical decision-making. With the expansion of internet-based companies, leadership decisions have a growing effect as well. Leadership decisions and the ways in which companies hire, gather data, and invest will directly affect employees, users, and the overall community. Today's leaders are integral to responsible growth as they continue to navigate this phase of their business's growth. Felix Roemer emphasizes integrity and balance as guiding principles. Decisions are evaluated through both practical and ethical lenses. This approach does not eliminate risk, but it ensures that growth aligns with personal and organizational values. When leaders are responsible, they see that their limits are defined by those of their people. Creating a culture of well-being and sustainable practices allows teams to do their best work consistently. The balance between these elements, especially in rapid growth, will ensure retention of employees and ultimately their long-term success. The role of mentorship and trusted networks. Leadership rarely develops in isolation. Trusted advisors and peers provide perspective that internal teams may lack. Modern leaders actively cultivate networks that challenge assumptions and broaden understanding. Felix Roemer credits much of his professional development to ongoing dialogue with mentors and collaborators. These relationships offer guidance during periods of uncertainty and help maintain objectivity. In online businesses where founders often operate remotely, such connections are especially valuable. For founder Felix Roemer, mentorship is reciprocal. By supporting other founders and operators, he reinforces his own understanding of leadership while contributing to broader ecosystems. This exchange reflects a mature view of success rooted in shared progress rather than individual recognition. Leadership beyond financial outcomes. While financial performance remains a key indicator of success, strategic leadership increasingly considers influence and contribution. Online businesses shape behavior, standards, and expectations within their industries. Felix Roemer measures impact by observing how ideas and practices spread beyond individual ventures. When peers adopt similar approaches or adjust strategies in response, it signals meaningful influence. This perspective aligns leadership success with lasting relevance rather than short-term visibility. Encouragement of strategic decision-making is seen in leaders who look beyond just the numbers or metrics of their organization. They recognize that they also can build value over time with other opportunities provided to them that will build more sustainable markets. Balancing control and freedom in modern leadership. The perpetual goal of every leader is to find balance between controlling and empowering workers. Online businesses that experience rapid growth need to provide their employees with adequate structure. However, creativity flourishes when employees have the freedom to be creative. Leaders should foster the creativity of their employees through developing well-defined company policies while at the same time encouraging independent thought. Felix Roemer prioritizes freedom within defined boundaries. Teams understand objectives and constraints, enabling independent problem-solving. This approach supports speed without sacrificing alignment. For founder Felix Roemer, personal freedom is equally important. Maintaining control over time and focus allows leaders to remain effective over the long term. By protecting this balance, leadership becomes sustainable rather than reactive. Looking toward sustainable leadership in online business growth. With the evolution of the online business ecosystem, strategic leadership continues to evolve as an extension of the maturity of the online business ecosystem, with founders having the responsibility of providing clear direction, an appropriate degree of discipline, and a sense of accountability to the organizations they control. Leadership quality is becoming the dominant predictor of success in increasingly competitive market environments. Felix Roemer, as a case study, exemplifies a type of leadership based on analysis, delegation, and long-term foresight, and the challenges he faces today are tangible evidence of how modern-day leaders have to adapt their leadership styles while not compromising their core principles. The ability to maintain this balance is an asset for entrepreneurs operating within rapidly growing online markets. As the digital economy continues to expand, leadership is consistently going to be one of the most critical components of success. Leaders with a high degree of adaptability, a commitment to ethical growth, and an effective strategic vision will have an advantage in navigating and building sustainable organizations from the residual effects of rapid growth.